So it's still buffering. Let's see. We're going live right now. Welcome to our incredible Edward Dunn on Studio Transvig. Edward, how you doing?
Fantastic. Thanks for inviting me back to the show. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. So who are you? Not what you do. Who are you?
Who am I? I'm Edward Dunn. I'm the doctor of insurance.
Doctor.
There's a lot of things I do, but I think the biggest thing that I do is I am the leader of the middleist paradigm. You know, the viewpoint for those people that are in the middle, the people that sometimes are forgotten. The far left and the far right get all of the attention, and the people in the middle, like me, maybe you're left and you lean a little right, or you're right and you lean a little left. Those are the people that are left out. So I feel like I'm the representative for those people.
Wow. I love how you said the leader. I am the leader of the middleist group, or how would you say that?
The middleist paradigm. So
the middleist paradigm. I love that.
It's what you see. It's how you see the world. And I feel like the people in the middle are the ones left out. Their world is not seen the way it should be.
Wow. Yeah, let's talk about that. So the middle group, people in the middle that are actually unrepresentative, represented, like they talk about Washington, D.C., taxation without representation.
Yeah.
Would you say kind of the middleist, there's a middleist group, a middle group in America? What are you saying? Let's talk about it. I love this.
All right. Well, we can talk about it for a second. I mean, what do you see in politics, right? You know, name the leaders of the Republican Party. It's pretty easy. You know, yep. you put Trump at the top, and you could rattle off 4 or 5 names at the top. And I feel like those people are the far rights. They're the very ultra conservatives. And the same thing you can say on the left. If you think about the left, you think of Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi. Those are kind of the far left, right? Even some would say they're not even Democrat. They're more socialist, right? And they're called social democrats. And the point that I'm trying to make with that is that the far left is definitely represented, and the far right is definitely represented. But who's representing the people in the middle? And some people call us centrist, right? I don't like the word centrist. I think centrist is more like people that are confused or don't know what they believe in. I think the people in the middle aren't confused. They don't understand. It's not that they don't know what they believe in. I think that they're Democrats, some right-leaning thoughts, or the Republicans with some left-leaning thoughts. And I think that's the people that are missed out the most.
Wow. Yeah, massive, because you get the extremes from the media, right, left and right, and it's just all extremists, and all they really want to do is fight, and all they really want to do is convince other people to think the way they think in, right? And they only tell half the story, not always the full story.
Well, isn't that the truth? We get a number, doesn't matter what it is. They throw numbers up in front of us, right? And they throw these numbers up, and the numbers are only what benefits them, right? They could look at a survey with thousands of different statistical research points, and they'll pick out the 1 or 2 that show their side instead of really the overall bigger picture of what the statistics actually tell us. And I think that's the problem, right? Like, you can find a poll right now. I guarantee if you look hard enough and look far enough, you'll find a poll that shows Donald Trump leading in the presidential race. And I guarantee if you look hard enough and far enough, you'll find one that says Joe Biden's leading the presidential race. And the point is that what's right, and I think neither one, because they're only going to show what benefits them. They're not going to show what benefits the country.
Awesome. We've got Urshel Metcalf, who's a very personal friend of mine, lives in Dallas area. And he just says, yeah, or less than half. Good stuff, he says. Urshel, good to see you. Love you, my bud. I'm glad you're on here. And this is somebody, Urshel, that you need to meet is Edward Dunn. Just a phenomenal guy. Urshel's been a friend of mine for about 20 years. And so he's watching. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's really interesting because you will find any numbers to tell your story. Okay, it's like if you take the Bible, you'll find a scripture to support what you're doing. You'll find justification when you're looking for justification to support whatever you believe. You're going to find that. You're going to find that. Gerardo from Washington, he's watching. Gerardo, good to see you, buddy. And also says, my pleasure. Just a phenomenal guy. So Edward, yeah.
When you like to pick Ursula's brain, and think about this guy. He is living in probably the most Democratic city in a Republican state. Wouldn't it be interesting to see or hear what his viewpoints are on a lot of different things, just because he probably gets it from a lot of different sides?
Yeah, I could try and bring him on now. I could try and bring him on. Urshel, I'm going to send you an invite and see if you want to jump on as a part of a discussion with us right now. It's my time. Let's see. Let's do this. And let's send it to. I'm going to send it to a text of Urshel and also an email right now. Urshel, look out for your email. If you can join us, that'll be good. I'm going to send you an invite right now, and it's Urshel Metcalf. Can you jump on, Urshel? Purple Plano. It says Purple Plano. That's where he is. Purple Plano. Let me just do this quickly. Let's see.
A lot of interesting stuff going on in that area right now, right? I don't know if you saw days ago the Twitter battle between Mark Cuban and Ted Cruz was very entertaining, to say the least.
Oh, I didn't see that.
No,
I didn't. No, I didn't see that. Well, Mark Cuban is quite something else. And Urshel, I'm just sending it to you on the text right now. If you want to jump on, you can. I'm not sure if you'll get that. No. I mean, tell us about that, Edward.
Well, I don't know if you saw it or not. One of the Dallas radio personalities basically sent a tweet that said, if I'm really excited to see what the Mavericks can do with the restart of the season. And however, if I see even one player kneeling, I will turn them off. I will turn them off. I will not be watching any longer. And Mark Cuban's one response was BYE. And
wow,
very interesting, because he did that to a radio personality. So there's no fear there to say his mind. And then he clarified a little later. He said, and I think this is an interesting viewpoint. He said, so many people say we shouldn't kneel for the flag. We should stand. And yet, hey, Urshel.
Hey, how you doing?
So, and yet the funny thing about that is he clarifies later and says, when we pray before God, what do? We get on our knees and we kneel, because that's the ultimate respect to the Creator upstairs. So when we kneel to the flag, it's not out of disrespect. We are respecting the flag in the highest way we can, which is to kneel before it. So I thought it was an interesting viewpoint, and his clarifications. Well, Ted Cruz sees this and doesn't respond directly to Mark Cuban, just takes a screenshot of it and says, well, not in Texas, it's going to happen. So, of course, Cuban responds back, grow some balls and talk to me directly if you're going to talk to me. So it was an interesting little Twitter battle.
Wow. Well, I did not see that. I'm Urshel, did you see that?
I did. I saw the exchange, and I laughed when I saw it, and again, it's exactly what you're saying. People choosing to hear what they want to hear, and rather than really listening. Somebody was pretty smart that said, talking about principles for being successful and winning, said seek first to understand. And there's absolutely no intention of understanding, in that response. It was absolutely to pander to the people that already believe what you believe and what you are after. And some people don't know, just as it relates to kneeling, when it comes to Colin Kaepernick and where that started in the NFL, that the person who convinced him to kneel during the national anthem, had a conversation with him, is a gentleman by the name of Nate Boyer, who was an NFL player and a United States Marine, and highly decorated. And he said, don't sit down during the national anthem. That's disrespectful. Kneel, because that shows respect, but you can still get your point across.
Wow. Isn't it interesting how people don't see that viewpoint, or they refuse to see it? Isn't
right.
it? And it goes back to where we started this, right? The far left and the far right. Well, the far left are definitely, being heard, and the far right are definitely being heard. But what about the 80% that sit in the middle? We're the ones
right.
This is like a tennis battle, and really, you're both should listen to each other. Where we lost compromise or working together in this country, I have no idea, but it is. I don't know that it's ever been further apart than now, and it just doesn't make sense in my head.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think here's one of the comments, and it'd be interesting. What do you think? But people, I've heard a lot of times, and I've talked about this before. People say we're more divided in this country than we've ever been in this country's history, and I hear that a lot. And but when I hear it, I say I think that's one of the stupidest comments a human can make. You know, we've had some pretty significant division in this country. And whether you want to do it across political lines or across racial lines, it's definitely been worse. What we have now, in my opinion, is more voices that have to be heard.
Well,
We can't, yeah, you can't shut down and marginalize certain segments of society before, and now everybody's got a full-on broadcast studio in their pocket if they want to take the message worldwide. And so those voices now have to be heard. And then of course, since nobody's listening, all we're doing is yelling at each other. And I agree, the core people that I know, that I see, that I talk to every day, they're not far left, they're not far right. They're far and away good people who want to see a better country for the children.
you know, I'm there with you. I've heard those same comments. We've never been more divided. No, I'm sorry. There was a time in this country that we picked up guns and shot at each other. That was a
Right.
lot more divided than we are today. So I think you're right. But I will tell you, somehow, somewhere, what you said was seek first to understand, right? That's the part
Yeah.
that's missing in the country is we don't seek out that knowledge. We don't want ourselves. You know what we want to do? We want people to tell us how to think. No, that's not the
Yeah.
way it should be. Understand it for yourself. Look, I don't care what side of the line you stand on. The idea being that it's the side that you believe in the most. Don't tell me what someone told you to believe. Tell me what you believe.
Right. Right. Absolutely, absolutely. And that's, but that mentality, I mean, even if you go all the way back to Moses pulling people out of Egypt and going all the way to the mountain and having this opportunity to get straight from the mouth, right, of eternity. And they say, you know what? We don't want to take the time. We don't want the responsibility to have this information ourselves. Moses, you go up there, you find out what's going on and come back and tell us, and we're going to stay down here and party. And it's kind of like that same mentality. So instead of me thinking and instead of me processing, thinking critically, and then walking across the street and asking the person across the street that thinks differently, tell me why you think and feel this way. I just turned on my curated news source that's going to agree with everything that I already think. And then I let them give me all of my talking points. And then I get on my keyboard and I go to war. And I repeat those talking points instead of wanting to be a person of understanding. And, but I believe that people like Kurt, people like you, we're bringing social discourse back and we're going to make it sexy.
Urshel, Edward, there's one thing I've known Urshel, as I said, for 20 years. He has got a way to articulate like nobody on this planet, number one. And I've seen him. Look, the best spinning instructor ever in history is this man you're talking right now. There's no man that leads a spinning class in a gym that will take you to your peak and you will walk out of that class and that's been the best class. It's been the best entertainment that you've ever got. And everybody's impacted. Right? That's just part of what he does. Is he's more than that, right? It's not what we do, but who are we? And
Yeah.
Urshel is been a massive inspiration in my life when I went through the most difficult times of my life. And he does that for everybody. He does that for thousands of people, and he represents very similar to you, Edward. The middle people that do not have a voice, because the far left has a voice, the far right has a voice, but the middle people do not have this voice and the hunger in this country. And Edward, share a little bit with Urshel about being a middleist.
Well, I will tell you this. It's interesting. I wrote it down and I keep it where I can read it all the time. The first words of our Constitution are "we the people." And yet in the last couple of 100 years, that voice has been lost, right? Too often we hear about "I, the people." what I believe, what I think, what I want to feel. It is time to restore that voice and once again be heard and announce we, the people. And I think that we've lost that. Why we can't work together? Look, I get it. Not everyone's going to see eye to eye and everything. I completely understand that. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't hear the other side out. We shouldn't
Right.
understand where they're coming from. Because if we did, it would go back to we the people, which is not what we have in today's world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. I've had this concept in my head, and I need to put it down in a book. But it's called "When Kings Went to War," and it goes along with what you're saying. Back during feudal times, if all three of us had a kingdom and we were neighboring kingdoms, and if I decided I was going to go to war with you, Edward, or you decided you were going to go to war with Kurt, the first horse out of the gate was your horse, and the horses behind you were your sons, right? So it doesn't matter whether you were fighting over water, land, gold, a woman. It doesn't matter what the fight was about. You had the most to lose. Your name could be wiped off the planet and out of history. And so, nobody, even if I chose a stupid reason to go to war, I am putting myself and my sons, my family, and my legacy at risk. And how I translate that today, I don't expect Barack Obama, George Bush, Donald Trump to be driving a tank or a fighter jet, right? If we go into combat. But it starts when we have a government that is fighting over healthcare, right? A healthcare system that none of them will ever participate in because they've got their own set of healthcare rules. They're fighting over our economics and our retirement plans and all of these things, but they've got their own retirement plan. So they don't experience the life that we experience. So how then can they be of the people, by the people, and for the people when they're not representing us because they're never, once they get there, they're not living the life that we live, and their only job is to get reelected and to please the lobbyists. So it ceases to be a representative government when they don't go home and watch Mr. Smith Goes to Washington and realize that I've got to represent the people that sent me here, not my party and not the lobbyists who are paying all of this money.
And isn't it the truth? I posted a video on YouTube a couple of months ago. I talked almost about those same things, and it was basically about the fact that, I didn't elect my officials, right? Whether it's the senator, the congressman to the U.S. House, or the local representatives that represent your state, right?
Yeah.
In the state Congress. The point is, I didn't elect. I did not put you in position to simply vote by the party line. I put you in position to represent me and my interest. And by golly, somewhere along the way, I'll give you the perfect example. I don't care which side of the equation you were on with the Trump impeachment, but when a person walks into a trial, knowing how they're going to vote before they hear the evidence, there is a problem in this country. And I don't know how to fix that problem, but I can tell you it's a big problem. When you knew that for the most part, senators, the Republicans were going to vote one way and the Democrats were going to vote another. That is not voting their conscience. I will never get to see the evidence they saw. I will never get to hear all the transcripts. I'll never get to see all the video. I'll never get to hear all the stuff, right? That's what I elected them to hear that and see that and vote the way they think is right. And that's not what happened in this country. You know what happened in this country? Someone at the top of the Democratic National Convention or someone at the top of the Republican National Convention told them all how to vote. And that's a problem. That's not right. That's not representative to me or to anyone else.
Exactly.
No, I'm sorry.
No. Ursula, when I saw you come on, when I saw you jump on, and there's some others, Nico from New York and James, also, but when I saw you come on, I just I had to bring you on. I had to bring you on because it's not that we all three think differently, or sorry, rather that we all three think the same. It doesn't matter how we think in terms of direction. It means that how can we sit down and have a discussion and talk about these things without forcing my view on somebody else, because that's what social media just does. It just wants, this is my view and I expect you to think like I do. But no,
Right.
this is the people that are not represented. No one's sharing what they thinking.
Right.
No one's
Right.
sharing what they thinking, and we get sucked into extremism, and to one side, and the middle of America. I've said things for a long time. My views are very unpopular. I understand that. My views are that a two-party system is no longer representing us anymore, because
Right.
exactly what what Edward said and what you've said, because there's no working together. If you had like 4 or 5 parties, more people will be represented, because there will be little smaller coalitions formed within a party. I mean, a coalition can be part of 3 parties. There can be 3 parties in a coalition representing in when you vote. But now it's you're told what to vote and you expect what to vote, because people can't think anymore. They're not taught to think. They're taught how to vote. We don't teach people how to think, or like let's look at the criteria, and that no, we're telling you how to think. There are very few people that merge out of that, say, well, I'm going to vote for the man or the person rather than the political party that he represents.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And that's where, and like you say, it's not that we have to, I don't necessarily need anybody to think like me, right? What I really want is for them to think, period.
Yeah.
To use that 2 pounds of gray matter that consumes, like 80% of our energy and resources, use that and make decisions. Because like you said, Edward, when this guy leaves, our city and goes to Austin, or they leave Austin and go to DC, I want them thinking about my 6-year-old son. I want them thinking about my 10-year-old daughter. I do not want them thinking about that insurance company that, is going to fly them to Turks and Caicos to discuss whatever it is that they want to discuss and whatever policies they want passed. And that's what we have to really passionately get back to. And, like I said, I agree with you, Kurt, 100%. Having a 2-party system, it reminds me, when I was a kid and used to watch wrestling, here in Dallas, there was a place called the Sportatorium, and there were these guys, Von Erich boys, and all of these, Dusty Rhodes, and all of these people. And I'd watch it with my grandfather sometimes, and then he would tell me about, going out to a restaurant or bar, and seeing these 2 wrestlers that hate each other, right, in the ring, and they're sworn enemies, and they're hitting each other with chairs and everything else, and then seeing them, at a restaurant or at a bar backslapping, and they're best friends, but we're all emotional. We're siding with this person and siding with that person, and sometimes that's all the political parties are doing us. They'll take 3 or 4 things, and they'll get us all excited and emotional over these 3 issues. How many people vote Republican because they say, I'm a 1-issue voter, I'm an abortion voter, or I'm a Second Amendment right voter. And so they take this 1 issue and they say, I vote this way based on this 1 issue. And, and I'm not trying to be righteous. I'm just trying to be right. Right. I care a lot about righteousness. I just want to be right.
Yeah.
And they vote on that 1 thing, but then they don't realize that all this other legislation that's happening underneath that is absolutely destroying your family and your community.
Isn't that the truth, though? I mean, I talked to a friend of mine. He's actually a Hispanic, but he's very hard guy. And we were sitting there and we were having a political talk. And he says, it's very interesting to me that in 250 years we haven't figured out immigration. Right? 250 years, it would have been a country we have figured out immigration. He says, why do you think that is? And I said, I don't know. I guess we just can't get to a concession. He says, no, it's because we don't want to find an answer. Right? Because if we found an answer, we wouldn't have anything to argue about. We have to argue about. So we pick that as the current thing to argue about. So healthcare, we're going to argue. That's something to argue about. You don't think we could fix that if we wanted to? Of course we could. It's something to argue about, right? And it's interesting because you almost said that same thing. It just gives us something to have a platform on. And the other stuff underneath is the part that we're missing. That's beautiful.
How crazy is it that a country full of immigrants can't figure out immigration?
Ah,
From sea to shining sea, nothing but immigrants. We can't figure it out.
We can't figure it out. No.
wow, wow,
I,
wow, wow, wow.
I think he was 100% right. We don't want to figure it out. Because if we did,
Right.
there'd be a solution already.
Wow.
Yeah. Then we have to find another polarizing issue to
Yeah.
bring to the
So,
forefront.
Something else to argue over. We have to have something to bicker about.
so gentlemen, what I want to ask you, what about creating, look, right now we're creating a moment, right, of discussion. Right now, this is a moment, and moments, move into motion and moves into movement, right? We need to create a movement of the middleist thinking, of the ones that do want to work it out, the ones that do actually want to work it out. That's what America needs. And I think what you just hit it, nailed it. We need America who wants to find a solution, wants to actually work it out, and not just fight or not just get everyone to believe their philosophies. I think there's such a need for a movement in America on this, what you guys are talking about.
Well, honestly, that's why I created a new word. When I started this middleist paradigm, the reason it's a new word, it's spelled with an I. Why? Because we are all part of it, right? And not EST, it's IST. And the idea with being is, look, I don't want to be called something that everyone else is. I want to say we are representing the people that are being forgotten right now. And so I don't want to call us something else. I want us to call something unique and new and different. And it was with that idea in mind. Man, if just a few of us thought to listen and understand
Yeah.
the other side, and we could get resolution to things. We could, right? And you picked another great one, is abortion. We can't figure that out in 50 years since the Supreme Court ruling. Come on,
Yeah.
come on, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I love it, and I'm all for it because we need action. We need to make it impossible for either one of the two political parties to totally control something or eliminate something. They should have to fight to win the majority voice. I got so sick of it in the past presidential election, where I felt like this is probably the first election in our country where more people voted against someone than they did for someone,
Right.
and which is just absolutely crazy when you think about that. And then I heard so many people say, "Well, I feel like this is the lesser of two evils." Now, again, think about that, because I'm legislating based on my 6-year-old son, my 10-year-old daughter, my 22-year-old daughter, my 25-year-old daughter. That's what I'm thinking about. My wife. So what I say, well, we're going to decide whether we're going to eat based on which restaurant is the least poisonous. Both of these restaurants serve poison. They're both going to kill us. But this one is less poisonous, right? We're going to die a little bit slower, right? And it's going to be a little bit less grotesque, right? But for our president, we say, I'm going to vote for the lesser of two evils. That's crazy.
It's horrible. That is such a great viewpoint. I've never heard it before. I will promise you, I'm going to steal that from you. I will copy it right. It will be copyrighted by you. But that's phenomenal. But I said this to Kurt last week, and you just reminded me of it. I'm not siding one way or another. Just saying, when we talk about abortion, right? The argument is my body, my right, and that's the left. My body, my choice. And it's weird because the right says it's not your body, it's not your choice. We're going to mandate and legislate it, right? And then you go to the mask thing, and the right is saying, my body, my choice. And the right is saying, no, we're going to mandate it? Are you kidding me? Pick a side. It's either my body all the time or none of the time. Not just what I want it to be.
But that's it. And you see it over and over again. And I know, and I don't believe it's going to happen, but I know that there's a lot of people rooting for a certain Supreme Court justice to not be able to continue on the Supreme Court due to health. And I was having this conversation, just this past week, and and discussing this, and they were saying, well, then our current president will be able to nominate someone else. I said, well, would that be right? Would the Republican-controlled Senate, in the last year of his presidency, would they allow him to nominate? Would they bring that to the floor? Because when President Obama was in the last year of his presidency, but we know exactly what they would do because we've seen them all. We've seen Lindsey Graham, we've seen all of these people have the exact same argument, and then the situation turns and they have the exact opposite argument, and it's word for word, quote for quote. You can see them just, it's, and they put them side by side and have them debate themselves. This is what you said 10 years ago. This is what you're saying today, and it's the exact opposite.
Right.
And so we have to have people. We have to have people with principle and conviction. I want people, and I do want them to be like me with this. I'm not afraid to be wrong. I'm afraid to stay wrong. I'm afraid to continue being wrong. And if someone can show me a better way, if someone can educate me, if someone can help me understand something, there's a lot of things that I don't understand because I've never experienced. And so I've had opinions in the past, and I'm not ashamed of those opinions. I'm proud of the fact that I've grown. I'm proud of the fact that I have a greater understanding now, and I continue to want to. I'm excited to be wrong about things that really matter, because if you show me that I'm wrong, you just made me better. You didn't beat me. You just made me better.
Man, it's what a great view. True though, right? It's the people that are afraid to admit when they're wrong that have the biggest problem, right? Because it's okay to be wrong. We're all wrong sometime in our lives. We've all been wrong in the past. We'll all be wrong again. That's not a problem. It's how do you grow from the mistake that you've made, not whether or not you ever made one or have made one or are going to make one again. Is what do you do to fix it? What do you do going forward? How are you going to respond to the adversity that's there?
Yeah, yeah. I've been asking this question. I had one guy ruin it. I had 100% pull on this one question, and then I got the same answer. And I've asked people on the far right and on the far left the same question. And I would say, tell me something that the other party is right or more right about, or that they do better or is better for our nation.
Oh,
Tell me one thing where
yes.
they're better than your party. And except for one person, everyone says something, I'll paraphrase, not a damn thing, is basically what every person says. That party is wrong about everything. And then my question is, how logical is that? How could it be possible that you and the people who think like you are right about everything, and the people who think differently are wrong about everything? That is intellectually lazy. That is choosing, absolutely choosing to say, I refuse to think. I refuse to participate in engaging in a conversation that really matters. So I'm just gonna write everybody off that doesn't think like I do. And I say that you've abandoned your senses by taking that approach.
Can I say something real quick about that? It's psychology.
Mm.
And here's how the if I tell you if I ask you the question, tell me what you really love, and we do this in sales, right? So I don't know what insurance company you're with, just pretend it's not State Farm because that's fine. Tell me what it is you really love about XYZ insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what
Yeah.
first thing comes through your head is? All the stuff you don't like about it.
Exactly.
All the stuff you don't like. It's a phenomenal, weird thing. Tell me what it is you really like about XYZ. And all of a sudden, well, they're pretty good, except, I had to play with them and blah, blah, blah. And it just, drops you. And it just gets really, really negative, right?
Yeah.
And it's the weirdest thing, because if I just said to you, tell me what it is you really don't like about XYZ, you know what you'd have told me? What you love about it. Here's how they're so great. They've always taken care of me. That it's a weird psychology, but it works along what you're talking about. When you tell me what it is that you really like about the other side, you get real defensive, right? You want to talk about, no, we're better. We're better. I'm going to get defensive, and I'm going to peacock a little bit. I'm going to show you how we're better, right? But if you reverse the question and you said, hey, tell me what it is that you really don't like about them, they probably would have told you some of the good things. It's a weird phenomenon.
Yeah, I agree. I'm
Sorry.
going to add that to the repertoire.
So, anyway, it's a weird phenomenon, and it works in sales. We could. So it's just the way it works.
Are two dynamic people in my life. Two incredible individuals that this nation has, that America has not seen yet. America has not been exposed to. Two phenomenal leaders that their life is only beginning. Their life's only beginning. Their life is only beginning. Edward Dunn and Urshel Metcalf. Now, Urshel, tell us a little bit about your radio show.
Yeah, so it got a little show. Kurt, I guess you've been on once, no, wait, two times
Twice.
here. It's on a station, internet radio called KVGI. It's called Urshel Speaks. I had another one that I was doing as a podcast called Thinking for a Change, and I'm thinking about rebranding back to that. It's just at one point in my mid-20s, after my father passed away, I fell in love with my first name, Urshel, and so I kind of like branding, my name. But really, the whole point is again to engage in conversation that matters. I expect it to be entertaining because I like to talk and I like to, I like for words to matter and to have a difference. And so when I invite someone on, or if I just talk myself, I want to talk about things that matter. And this week I did something that I actually haven't done before. I reviewed a book called "The Obstacle Is the Way." Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Get it, or I'll send it to you. I sat down, I read it in about 2 days, and it's called "The Obstacle Is the Way." And the book was so good, it just made me think, as soon as you identify what the obstacle, what the challenge is, now you've identified your path. Now you've identified the direction that you need to go. The obstacle is the way. So we don't need to be afraid of challenges or obstacles. Even as we're discussing, things that face our nation, that problem is the way. And what I've been sharing for a few weeks is a parallel between my life and the year 2020. And on February 28th, I was T-boned by a truck. And I got smacked pretty hard. She didn't have State Farm; she had Progressive, and and as a result, I had a couple of herniated discs in my back. My head got banged around. I was having some cognitive issues. I drove to the doctor's office in a part of town that I'm very familiar with. I drove around for 20 minutes within a mile of the doctor's office because I couldn't actually make the decision to turn in. It was like I was lost, but I was right there. I'm having this pain, lost my wallet, lost my keys, just all of this stuff's going on. And but as a result, I've been doing physical rehab, and I've been doing brain plasticity exercises and doing all of these things. And then all of a sudden I told my wife, my mother-in-law kept saying, "Hey, you look like you lost weight. You look like you lost weight." I'm like, I don't know. Our scale's broken, so I don't know. Bought a new scale, and at the point I'd lost about 18 pounds. And I'm walking every morning, usually 4 to 6 miles. Getting all of this stuff moving, stretching, doing all of this other stuff. I started doing some brain exercises, and then picked up another course on reading and comprehension. And so I've gone from reading 250 to 270 words a minute to better than 600 words a minute with comprehension. So all of these things have been going on, but 3 weeks after the accident, I was still going to doctor's appointments, and I'd sit in the doctor's appointment, they'd take my blood pressure, they ask me questions, and I'd start crying. I had stuff coming back into my head from being in the Gulf War, just all types of stuff was happening. I was a case, so I had to get back into therapy. Here's why I parallel that to 2020. If something happened to me early on in this year, and I wasn't expecting it, and it messed me up, but it forced me to deal with some things that hadn't been dealt with. It forced me to go to work in areas that I care about, but I'm neglected because of just the day-to-day living. And so I had to start making some changes. Now I'm in better shape. I told my wife, heck, I've come this far. I'm going to go ahead and just decide to be one of those sexy 50-year-olds and get in great shape, right? I'm going to, I've read 10 books in the last 30 days. and I'm planning to continue to do all of those things. And parallel, the point that I'm making is that what's happened to us in 2020 with the pandemic and the economy, all of these things, it's forced us to have conversations about our school system, about our health system, about our race relations, about so many things that we wouldn't necessarily be talking about. And this obstacle, these challenges that have happened to us have given us an opportunity to be phenomenally much better than we've ever been as a nation, as we have these conversations and we make decisions and say, hey, look at what got exposed in our school system. Well, everyone had to go home. Well, people on this side of town, 95% of the people have high-speed internet. People on this side of the town, 20% of the people have high-speed internet. But, was that a problem? Did we think that was a problem a year ago? No. As soon as all of our kids had to go home and be educated from home, it became an issue. So now we have something to talk about. And why is that? And what can we do?
Wow. Urshel, I want, and okay, Edward, what about that? Can I just? Yeah. Go for it. No, you my guest.
I was just gonna say, there's nothing more permanent than a temporary solution, right? We've created a temporary solution that will one day be permanent solutions to the problems because they were identified. You're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, it's interesting that you view it from that viewpoint because I 100% agree. And too many people have given up on this year. You didn't. You got into a major accident. You had a lot of problems. Did you give up? Did you say, I can't wait for 2021? Maybe I won't get to go negative? No, you didn't. You found ways past it. You grew. You became better. You actually increased your capacity because of what happened to you. I think that's what we should do in 2020. I don't want to give up. I'm tired of seeing these social media things that say, I can't wait for December 31st. Matter of fact, on December 31st, I'm not going to say Happy New Year. I'm going to say Jumanji and get out of this. No, stop giving up. It's here and over. It is the halfway point. If it was your favorite football team, basketball team, baseball team, and they went into halftime and said, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
We still watch it? No, we didn't turn them off. We don't want to see someone give up. We want to see them fight. It's time to fight, not give up. I'm sorry, Kurt, go ahead.
No, this is good stuff. I mean, I'm keeping quiet. I'm just listening to you. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm just blown away. I was thinking this. Why not next Wednesday, same time, 11 o'clock Pacific, 12 o'clock Mountain, and 1 o'clock Central Time next week. Talk on racism. Let's have a discussion on racism, and let's because no one wants to talk about it. Like that, they want to watch the media talk about it, but everyone's scared to talk about it. And let's the three of us, have a conversation on racism, and let's just talk and let's chat. What do you guys think, Edward? Are you prepared to do that?
I can do it. Yeah.
Urshel?
Absolutely.
Around it's going to make it better as a country. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah, next week Wednesday. Let's hit it out with that. I mean, normally these I expect to be 33 minutes long max, but I wasn't going to stop the conversation happening now. I wasn't going to stop that. No. Why? Because I want the world to hear what we're talking about, right? And I'll be like, I would like to be the host that says the least. Most hosts say the most. I want to be the host that says the least.
I'd love to do it.
Yeah, awesome. Let's do it next week. I'll send you the link, Urshel, and of course Edward, and two incredible people in my life that has been part of molding me who I am. And I can tell you lots of stories about Urshel, Edward, that but the grace he has, the humility he has, and forgiveness he has. And Edward, you exactly the same. You both have those same substance, foundational platforms that your life exists on.
Yeah. Thank you, Kurt.
Yeah, love you both. Hey, thank you. Thank you for making my day. Thank you for making my day. Thank you for inspiring me. Thank you.
Nice to
Thank you. And just want to thank you that it's people like you who make me believe in America, the nation I came to. It's people like you who do that, who make me want to stretch it out longer and say, we live in a great nation and we're going to find a solution because we want to find a solution like other people don't want to find a solution. That was powerful.
Absolutely.
Love you guys.
Absolutely.
Love you guys.
Love you, man.
So we'll end the broadcast